Welcome back to Who Is on Magic Untapped as we take a look at the stories of characters from throughout the Magic the Gathering multiverse. I am Barry White. This time around, we're traveling to the plane of Olgrotha to learn about an unlikely young mage who would, over time, become a mad matron of dark magic. Of course, I'm talking about none other than Grandmother Sengir.
Who is it?
Who is this?
Who is it?
Who is this?
Who is it?
In a barony on the plain of Olgrotha lives Ravi, a simple farmer girl. Despite the town being in the shadow of the Baron's castle, things are not going well. In fact, the town had become infested with plague rats. Over a short amount of time, most of the town's inhabitants died, including Ravi's mother. At her funeral, Ravi met a strange young boy, wearing regal dress. He introduced himself as none other than the Baron's son, and revealed to the farm girl that his father had recently begun studying black magic, and not only did his father not care about the villagers, the Baron had used him to bring the rats into town. The boy continued, telling Ravi that the only way to save the village from the infestation was to kill his father. He would do it himself, but the law prohibits him from inheriting his father's title should he be the one to kill him. The boy then asks Ravi to do the deed for him, and teaches her a song that would allow her to control the rats. Ravi, however, did not feel comfortable killing anyone, even a man as cruel and uncaring as the Baron. Her mind changed, however, after her father died from the same plague that claimed her mother's life. With the village now nearly deserted and nowhere else to go, the farm girl decided to do as the boy requested. Singing the song he taught her, she commanded the rats and met up with the boy. He was impressed at her skill with the rats and ponders that the farm girl might be more than she seems. The two then enter the Baron's castle, the swarm of entranced rats following behind them. They easily enter the Baron's chamber, but Ravi's resolve falters as she still cannot muster the will to kill the man. Once she noticed him working on his mother's now mutilated corpse, however, that changed. She commanded the rats to devour the Baron. The Baron, though, had become skilled in dark magic and attempted to take control of the rats with a song of his own. Hearing the two songs at once confused the swarm, and the rats turned their attention to the only one in the room not singing: the boy. Just as soon as the Baron noticed his son laying dead on the floor, he broke his song and cast a spell on the boy's corpse. Taking the opportunity, Ravi continued her singing and commanded the rats to attack the Baron one more time. The deed now done, she instructed the rats to leave the barony completely. Everything's now quiet in the castle. An exhausted Ravi opened a nearby window for some fresh air. It's then that she's startled by a scream of agony from behind her. The boy was alive, brought back by his father's spell. He was also, it seemed, now intolerant to sunlight. She closed the window. Then she and the boy spoke. He told her that she must be a very powerful wizard for having overpowered his father, telling her that she might even become a powerful planeswalker in the future. Ravi, however, told the boy that she has no interest in magic. It's now that the pair realize they don't even know one another's name. Ravi formally introduced herself to the boy, and the boy, in return, introduced himself as the new Baron Sengir. Quite some time later, Ravi had not only finally accepted her magical talents, but had also transcended into being a planeswalker, just as the young Baron had predicted. She affiliated herself with a group known as the Tolgoth, an inquisitive group of young mages and planeswalkers who had a desire for knowledge. It's a desire that led them into a multi-plane conflict with another group, one full of older, jealous, and selfish wizards and planeswalkers, known as Ancients. Hopping from plane to plane, the conflict between the Tolgoth and the Ancients had finally come to Olgrotha. In response, Ravi's mentor handed her a relic known as the Apocalypse Chime. He instructed her to use it only in the most sinister of times, promising her that it has the power to cleanse the world. He dared not tell her any more, however, as nobody who truly knew the full extent of the chime's power, would ever dare to use it. At the peak of the conflict on Olgrotha, when it seemed like all other options were fruitless, Ravi rang the chime and took shelter in a magical coffin inside of a basalt spire as instructed. The effects of the chime were cataclysmic. The area immediately surrounding Ravi's location became a dead zone, devoid of mana and life. Both parties in the war, the Tolgoth and the Ancients, were destroyed. As for the rest of Olgrotha, the majority of life, both flora and fauna, ceased to exist. As for Ravi, she laid in the coffin and was unaffected by the chime's apocalyptic effects. But she wasn't exactly safe. One of the things her mentor kept from her was how to escape the coffin once the chime's work had completed. Over years and years, decades and decades, she laid there in the still, quiet darkness, her connection to Olgrotha's mana severed. Always awake, unable to sleep, aware of every passing moment, she felt herself slipping away into madness. No, madness was too simple a word. She was beyond madness. She was broken. Eventually, after who knows how many generations, her coffin was unsealed. Before her was a face she might have known in her youth, had she any recollection of reality anymore. The Baron Sengir, now a vampiric lord whom had somehow survived the effects of the chime, plucked the withered, broken woman from her personal prison. Once again, noting the magical abilities within her, he brought her back to the Castle Sengir and gave her the moniker Grandmother Sengir. Once settled into her new life and her new name, the old crazy crone came to refer to the Baron as her grandson and took on the responsibility as his private tutor. Despite her broken mind, she still retained the magical abilities and incantations from before the apocalypse. From her, the Baron's magical prowess only grew. A number of books were also written containing much of the grandmother's knowledge, books that were used as a corrupting influence on the apprentice wizards at the wizard school on the Floating Isle, as well as the Death Speakers in the Sarah-worshipping nation of Eisen, as the Baron extends his cold grip over the plane. As for Grandmother Sengir, a character who made her Magic the Gathering debut with her namesake card in the 1995 set Homelands, and had her story fleshed out a bit more with the 1996 Homelands comic book by Armada Comics, she is still around. In fact, the character is the focus of the flip side of the card Invasion of Olgrotha from the set March of the Machines from 2023 in the form of Grandmother Ravi Sengir. And who knows, maybe if Wizards of the Coast finally gets the courage to return to Olgrotha for a set or two at some point in the future, we'll see what she and the Baron have been up to after all these years. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We have a tip jar on Patreon if you want to support the channel that way. We would greatly appreciate it. Thanks again.